Time for the super spheres. See what they'll do. We interrupt this Christmas light repair video to bring you a special Octember fail. The workshop heater failed. I was working on some Christmas lights here at the workbench, and I heard a couple of gurgles come from this area. And about 5-10 minutes later, I started smelling some hot antifreeze. And looked over here, and I had looked like some steam was coming out of there as well. So I shut everything down, and I'm just now starting to pull everything apart to get in there and see what's going on. I got enough of a look to see I didn't notice any leaks or anything, so I'm going to have to open everything up and see what's going on with it. So I got to get all this Christmas stuff out where I've got room to get in there and work. After a bit of work, I got it out. Now, bear in mind, this is homemade from decades ago, and it worked up until today. So I got to tear into my old work and see what the heck happened to it. First thing I'm going to do is test the operation of my pump. Don't see anything wrong with that. That's not even at full voltage. So, pump's okay. Next thing to do will be to hook it back into the loop and see what it does. We got something going. That might have been part of the trouble right there, where I was smelling the steam and the hot coolant. Very possible. Well, unfortunately, I've got it appears to be a blockage. I have a theory. There were 4 rubber feet on the bottom of this pump, and they had all disintegrated. So it's quite likely that some rubber has gotten in the closed loop there and stopped it up somewhere. So I'm just going to have to take pieces apart and see where the blockages are. Maybe get the old air compressor out and back flush it. We'll just have to see. I'll keep troubleshooting. So I've discovered the clog is in the water heater because I bypassed it and I have full circulation. There we go. So there's a definite clog in the water heater. Well, it looks like the water heater has failed on this unit. So that's that. I've got a replacement ordered, and as soon as it gets in, this should be back in service. It's a few days later. My new part has come in to fix my workshop heater. Well, the old out with the old, in with the new. Try to remember how I did this way back when. Oh man. There it goes with the custom zip tie system. almost there. Perfect fit. Let's play with some fire. I finally got it sorted out. Well, it's the moment of truth. Got everything hooked up. We're going to run the water and get this filled back up with water. And then we'll plug that heat in. See if the water will get hot. Go ahead and plug in the pump. See what happens. See how much it leaks. We're leaking pretty good all right off the bat. That was easy. Got that one tightened up. Gurgling, purging some air out of it now. So this line is beginning to warm, so that's a real good sign. Not a leak anywhere in sight. And bear in mind, this is quick reminder, something I made decades ago, so I know there's better ways of hooking stuff up now, but I wanted to leave it as close to the original design as I could, so that's why it kind of looks like it does. Later on I added thermostat control to this, but before I would just plug it in when I first made it decades ago, and it just run continuous until I unplugged it. But it's thermostat controlled now, so at least it's got that going for it. Yeah, that's getting real nice and warm now, so I'm pleased with that. The coil's getting warm. So this is acting like a straight up radiator right now because it's not forced air. That's putting off some nice heat. That feels good. I have to get the thermometer. Oh, my thermometer is in the house. It's already getting up to 90 degrees, so that's well on its way to awesomeness again. Oh yeah, that's getting a little toasty. A few minutes later, yeah, I'm satisfied that's going to work as it did before, so I'm going to go ahead and put it back together, put it back under the counter where it belongs, and I think we'll be in good shape. A while later, back installed and hooked up and running. So we'll wait a little while and see how quickly this thing warms up. So I think I may have solved the mystery of why the heater failed in the workshop. This piece here was broke off and the pump would not always start. So I got the old Scotch Weld PR40, so I'm going to put it back together and see if it will reliably start each time. I do have a replacement pump on order, but I also ordered a check valve because I noticed when the pump didn't start, all the hot water flowed back from the tank into the pump tank. And I think the hot water tank boiled dry and self-destructed. So I think the check valve will help that if the pump doesn't start for some reason. So I'll go put this back in and see what happens. It's a day later. This arrived from the Jungle website. Submersible water pump. 3,500 liters per hour, which is 800 or so, I guess, gallons. let's get it installed. The old one is out. I don't know if it'll show up, but this pump made it exactly 12 years. November 2010 is when that one was manufactured. With any luck, that new pump will screw onto this adapter. Well, no such luck. I had to swap out the adapter, but it was no big deal. The hose slipped right off, no problem. Got the new adapter on, and then the hose slipped on the barb fitting, no problem at all. It's already up to operating temperature, so the tubing was quite flexible. Now let's put it back together and give it a power on test. It is back together. Let's give it a power on test. And it's a little noisier because I went ahead and took the rubber feet off because they deteriorated in the other pump. It's bubbling, so that we're getting air purged out of the line right now. Got the fan off on the air handler. I'll cut that on when I am satisfied with the operation of this. There it is back under there. I do like the audible pump, so I can tell that it's running. My next step will be to put the check valve in this line right here. But for now, we're good to go. Pump sounds strong, running strong. We'll put the fan on. There it goes. Starting out at 88 degrees, it'll warm up from there. Usually runs about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is plenty good for this application. This is a small 12 by 8 workshop. I don't need much more heat than that. And there's what it sounds like with the cover installed. Not very loud at all. See how the temperature's doing. See, it's already come up to 95 degrees in just a couple minutes. And we're pretty well up to operating temperature now, so that feels pretty nice and toasty to me. Not anything like the Peerless gas heater, but this for out here, just right. Here's a quick amendment to my workshop heater repair. I noticed yesterday this line here was getting extremely hot, almost too hot to touch. Consequently, it was tripping the thermal overload protection in the pump, so every few minutes the pump would shut off and then resume operation when it cooled off a little bit. That just wasn't going to cut it. So I had an extra one of these transmission cooler coils. So I just kind of shoehorned that in there, and instead of coming off of here going directly back into this cooler, I've got it going into this coil instead right here. So this one's quite warm coming in from the unit, and then the output is, say, lukewarm, and that's keeping my temperature way down on this pump in there, and so far it's not tripping the overload. It's been running a couple hours now, maybe 3 hours, warming the workshop back up. It's about up to temperature, so I would expect the thermostat to cut it any time now. I'll go ahead and let it run and see if I can catch the thermostat being satisfied. Get in here a little closer for a little bit better sound. I'm just going to be staring at nothing for a minute, but that's okay. We're still chooching at about 100 degrees, so I haven't dropped the temperature of the heat any, so that's a good thing, but I needed to drop the temperature of this line a little bit. That water was just getting too hot. Only other alternatives to put in an exterior pump, but we'll see how this goes first before we go to that route. And I still need to put my check valve in there. And then this thing should be as reliable as it ever was. There it is. Thermostat is satisfied. That's just the water draining out of the coil, so it goes down in the bucket so it won't freeze. But that's the sounds of the heater. So hopefully this is fixed once and for all. Well, now that that repair's done, the shop's heating up nicely, and the proceeds from my YouTube payment this month went to buying the pump to repair my heater. So once again, thank everybody for watching my videos and supporting me that way. If you haven't already done it, please consider subscribing. It's free, so why not? So once again, thank you for watching, and now back to repairing Christmas lights.